Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 29 of the 72 review. We have got 4 people on the panel tonight, but you'll notice that we've got a new face below me. It is Luke Walsh from the Oak Road Hatter. Welcome to the show, mate. Thank you for filling in for Lee as he's going, gallivanting abroad. But no, welcome to the show. It's your first time on. Luton Town fan, let everybody know who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
I'm just a record signing and the super sub. That's what I'm here for. I am Luke Walsh, representing the greatest football club in the world, Luton Town, and a broadcaster, writer, media monkey for Oak Road Hatter, who cover the greatest football club in the world every single week. So feel free to check us out over on socials, and I'll be sure to be talking about possibly the biggest travesty in Championship football this week. But we'll get to that when we get there, really.
We will indeed. Link to all Luke's socials and the Oak Road Hatter will be in the description after the video. I will have to get in touch with you, get them put on there so people can find you.
At Oak Road Hatter on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever the kids use these days.
Easy as that, at Oak Road Hatter. Go ahead, follow Luke, see what he's all about. 2 faces next to me. I can never work out how cameras work. We have got Jake, PunkChef41. Let people know who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Hi, I'm PunkChef41. I am a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I also co-host a Talking Wednesday podcast, which is out every Tuesday at 5 p.m. with my other co-host Dex and Worko. And talks at everything Wednesday, and it looks like Luke's going to really fit in because he's got a thing about referees and how bad they are. And you know what? We're all for that on here.
Yeah, we are. We are indeed. And I've left Ian for last because it's a birthday. Once again, we had Lee's birthday last week. We've got Ian's this week, 61 years young. Happy birthday, mate. We won't play any music because we did get copyright hit last week. So unfortunately, there's no celebrations that Lee got. By all means, we do still want to give you a great happy birthday. Hope you've had a good day, mate. For everybody watching, let us know who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to Tenerife next week, but you can't have everything. Yeah, I mean, I'm a 61-year-old Rotherham season ticket holder, been a Millers fan for 50 plus years. Also, when the Millers are away, I vlog for Over the Bar YouTube channel. So I go generally around the lower 2 divisions vlogging.
He's also a deep sea diver if you go to New York Stadium.
That's right. I'm an experienced diver. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Jake, congratulations on your watch along the other day.
Thank you, mate.
For the Wednesday Bolton game, it was very, very good.
Thank you, Ian.
I will just say, seeing Worko stream simultaneously as the Wednesday Bolton game and just rinsing him every time that there wasn't a goal, but reminding him there was.
I didn't know about that.
I just kept trolling him. And it's what you get when you stream on Twitch at the same time as a game. And he calls himself a Wednesday. Well, he did call himself a Wednesday fan. If you go to Jake's Twitter, you'll see otherwise how I managed to easily and quite comfortably convert him to a Luton Town fan.
Don't worry, I'll put it in the chat now.
As always, get your comments in. It does drive the conversation as we're going through the 3 divisions. We're going to go Championship, League 1, League 2 this week. We have got a few comments that have fired in straight away. Earlier this morning, we've got Kyle Blade. Hey, bro, what up? That's far too young a talk for me.
Oh, God, yeah.
Doing very well, mate. Thank you. Hope you're well, too. We've got Callum in the chat. Good evening. We've got Sam. Evening, Dan. Not a lot to smile about, but a hell of a lot to moan about. Sam's a Donny fan. We will get to League 2 later in the show, but at least there's stuff to talk about exactly. We have also got Neil asking Ian, is it still raining?
No, it stopped now.
And Sam's asked, Neil's sending some love to Ian as well. Happy birthday, Ian. And then we've got Nat, who's a regular as well. Good evening and happy birthday, Ian. So that's us up to date with the comments. Let's get the fixtures added to the screen. Let's get the ticker across the bottom as well. And we will start in the Championship midweek because I took a Championship game in midweek, and that was Huddersfield against Norwich. Some people may say I'm a sucker for punishment being a Donny fan and then going to watch Huddersfield as well. But good friend of mine, Anthony, is a Huddersfield fan and got us a ticket. And you know what? I actually quite enjoyed this game. Norwich should have been out of sight in the first half. They had so many opportunities to put Huddersfield to bed, and they were just very wasteful in front of goal. They had most of the play, most of the chances in the first half. And what I found really strange was going to watch a Neil Warnock team and not seeing any sort of fight or desire or grit, determination to get out of the mess that they're in. I mean, Luke, you're a Championship fan. You've watched more Championship football than myself. Obviously, Ian's watched Championship football as well. Thoughts on Huddersfield and Norwich? Do you think Huddersfield have got what it takes to avoid the drop?
Rewind the clock 12 months, and Huddersfield were beating Luton in the playoff semi-final to go to Wembley, and now they're up. It's ridiculous how the way football runs these days. But Huddersfield and Norwich City are both Premier League quality, and the fact that they are in the positions that they are is remarkable. I mean, Norwich should have been home and dry, but the way that Huddersfield came up, arguably with an own goal, I mean, it's just the way it is. But a point for either side. I think overall, if you watch the game back, I think is a fair result. But this game could have easily had more goals in it with the quality that both sides have.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Huddersfield had the second half. It was an own goal. The chip over the keeper hit the post, and then Grant Hanley just kind of ran into it and bundled it into his own net. But I think Huddersfield were deserving of a point. They could have won it towards the end, but they should have been out of sight at half time.
The problem you've got with Huddersfield at the minute, there's so much off the field stuff now happening. The talk of them going into administration if they don't get a takeover. I read somewhere that Sheffield United are in a similar boat. You've got so many clubs who are now in transfer embargoes in the Championship. And if anything, it shows you how well Rotherham and Luton have done with just sticking to their budget and knowing what they are and not trying to be anything not bigger than what they are, but do you know what I mean?
I know
Walshy.
Sing it. Sing it.
You know what I mean? Sticking to knowing what they are, not trying to overcomplicate things, because you've seen how Huddersfield have done that in the last couple of times and now they're in trouble. And they did say after COVID there were going to be a lot more cases as Sheffield Wednesday and derbies. They did say that, and we're now seeing it.
Yeah.
And go on, I have to come in on this.
Sorry.
I'll let you go first here because
the way the finances are going at a lot of Championship clubs, I can see Rotherham finishing mid-table with all the points deductions.
Yeah,
I mean Reading as well. Reading's going to get a points deduction by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, like just to sort of comment on the whole financial mess. Luton famously, minus 30 points in 2009. That really just killed the club off and sent us into 5 years of hell, really, in non-league football. But this is the fundamental thing about Luton Town, and you see it every single week on Twitter. # teams like Luton, things like that. You don't need a billionaire owner. You don't need the transfer tycoon business that you need to do. You just need the right people and the right management, and the magic is there. And the fact that we were able to accomplish what we did under Nathan Jones in the 6 years, pretend he never went to Stoke, because nobody else remembers he went to Stoke, and Graham Jones is an evil man. But what we've achieved under him and the budget we have, and continue to go on to do so in the top six, we're unstoppable. Yeah, unstoppable.
You're getting some love in the comments, Luke. Anyway, somebody's wanting a milk with 2 sugars. Somebody's growing up behind you. But we also have a Oak Road Hatter subscriber, 114 Westerner 8. So getting some love in the comments, which is great to see. I think the other thing I'll quickly want to add about Norwich, of course, obviously we'll come on to the weekend action as well. Norwich are far from out of this playoff race. I mean, I know Luton are sitting comfortably 4th in the table, but Norwich could quite easily sneak in and get that final spot. And you know how the Championship works. I think it's 6th place 3rd and then 4th place 5th, but 6th has the home advantage first. Nobody wants to go to Carrow Road in the first leg of a playoff. That'll be a very difficult tie to do. And should Middlesbrough and Sheffield United get into the promotion scrap that is shaping up to be in April, Luton could find themselves in 3rd, and that would be a very difficult game to play to then take it back to Kenilworth Road. So
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but keep an eye on Norwich. I think that's going to be a dangerous one to watch.
Especially with Wagner at the helm. Very good manager.
Mm.
Moving on to Luton, Luke. Talk us through Saturday's fixture, mate. 1-1 against Sunderland.
Can I talk about Bristol City first, please? Like, it was going so well for Luton, beating Bristol City midweek. Carlton Morris a goal 4 minutes in and just dominated the game throughout. And then we go up to the Stadium of the Light, a cracking goal by Alfie Doherty, and then possibly the worst dive you'll ever see this season, making Tom Daly blush. You can see the fan footage from behind the goal.
Never a penalty in a million and
No,
one years.
no.
Never a penalty.
No.
Just dreadful. I mean, there's a song and a banner that goes around the Kenilworth Road that says the FA and the Football League. Yeah, just a terrible decision. I mean, I would say put VAR in the Championship, but where would you put it in a wooden shack like Kenilworth Road? You put it behind a pillar. It's there's just no room for it. There's no room for much.
You only put it behind a pillar for when it's the away team VAR, and you keep it in front of the pillar for the home team. Sorted.
To be fair, putting it behind a pillar at the minute, VAR, you probably get similar decisions to it having the clearest view it's got of the stadium. I think.
But having said that, it is a point. Obviously, now we're into international break, and next stop is that team down the road and the big game on the 1st of April. We have to pray and hope that we get a decent referee allocated to us, and it's the game of football that Luton versus Watford should be, and it doesn't get marred by yet another ridiculous, absurd, just an awful refereeing. But we keep moving.
Vicarage Road or the Kenny?
It's at the Cathedral of Football, my friend. It's at Kenilworth Road. It's the first one in front of fans since 2006. And as much as I like to remind
you
my...
realise you now said about referees, you're probably going to get Keith Stroud.
It's going to be a stinker. And I mean, the last time they came to visit us, of course, James Collins converted that penalty late on, and Andre Gray thought he was smart and thought he's called the equaliser, to which it was disallowed late on. So, yeah, who knows what game we're going to get, but the atmosphere is going to be electric. I'll certainly be there, and it will be a moment to not only encapsulate our season and could we seriously challenge for the playoffs and maybe sneak into the promotion spot, but we have to beat Watford. Yeah,
I think that's one of those games that you can kind of benchmark your season on, isn't it, and see where you currently sit and what sort of progress you can make. Watford not doing too bad this season. I know their result wasn't great this weekend at home to Wigan, but they'll be wanting to put that right, won't they?
Well, it's not even that. Our return leg back in October against the Scum at Vicarage Road, we lost 4-0. And you can almost look back on the chronology of Luton's results and the way that things were dwindling. And then obviously Nathan Jones moving on to Southampton, you could sort of see where things not necessarily were going wrong for him, but I think that offer of a potential Premier League management was starting to be put on his radar. And I guess the results weren't bad, but there was draws where we should have been getting 3 points. Is if you look back on that, and you can see the turning point. But certainly what Rob Edwards has picked up the mantle and continued the strong charge has been magnificent. And it's just a shame that club never utilised them as much as we are. And thank God for that. We've got Super Rodri Edwards. What more do I have to say?
Yeah. Neil has come in on the chat. You have to take your hat off to Luton, the way they've not only played on the pitch this season, but the way they've run the club off the pitch and worked way within their much smaller budget. Yeah, it's you've got to give credit to it for sure. Not saying that we're now international with Lee. Lee is in the chat. He's good evening from Tenerife. There we go. We've got a view from Spain, which is nice. Moving on to somewhere slightly wetter than sunny Tenerife, we'll go to Rotherham. Okay, Ian, talk us through this one, mate, because I remember.
Well, I
remember
actually
going down
going to talk about the midweek game with Preston first, which you seem to have omitted. So, can I talk about the Preston game first?
Of course you can. Let me just find it.
There you go. Above Millwall Swansea.
There we go. Thank you. There you go.
Right. Very, very poor performance against PNE. It started off really badly within the first few minutes. We lost a player on the far post. Harding's marking again, which were non-existent. Heads it across, and Tom Cannon had a tap in for 1-0 Preston. We fought his way back into the game a little bit, and we got a hardly deserved equaliser when a good Shane Ferguson cross were headed in really well by Hakeem Adoffin. Got 1-1. You'd think we might push on from that, but no. Preston continued to push forward, and they got a really, really good Ched Evans goal where he controlled the ball at the edge of the area, swung and hit it with his left foot. Really good goal. 2-1 at half-time to Preston. Matt Taylor made a raft of substitutions at half-time and just after half-time, but it just didn't do any good. And for the first 20 minutes of the second half, Preston could have had 3 or 4 more. And the anticipated sort of run of pressure didn't materialise at all, and Preston run out easy winners. Very, very disappointing. So, linking it into the Cardiff game, exactly the same. No performance at all. We were outrun. We were run ragged by Cardiff. We conceded another stupid early goal, which would virtually carbon copy of Preston's first goal on Tuesday night. Header at the far post and a tap-in. Ogbenny had a shot just wide, but that's about the only thing of any note that we did. Unfortunately, I mean, I've got to question Matt Taylor's tactics. He's playing like he's nearly like either a 4-5-1 or a 3-6-1, and he's only having Jordan Hugel up front on his own. Now, the guy's 5'10". He's a hard worker. He's quite good in the air, but he cannot lead the line on his own. And also, he keeps insisting on playing Connor Coventry from the start, who were our marquee loan signing from West Ham. He's been absolute pony.
I wonder if
he's
there's
not
a
had a
clause
good
in the
game yet.
contract, Ian. I wonder if there's a clause in the contract.
I think there's got to be a clause in the contract that he plays every game, but he's just done nothing. I mean, I suppose he had a big shirt to fill in Dan Barlaser, because he's where all our creativity came from.
Yeah, good player.
And he's just not doing it at all. His set piece delivery is poor. His general all round play, he's not a ball winner. Just sideways and backwards passes. It's like, I don't know. It's not working at all. And we're definitely missing, well, I'm not saying creativity, we're missing the drive and the work rate of Ollie Rathbone, because he's been injured for the last 3 or 4 games. And we're missing Grant Hall at the back. So we're having to fill in with the likes of Lee Peltier, who really is a fullback. And we're playing him at centre-back. And he's not working.
Richard Wood, who could play there, yet you don't want to pick him.
Well, I think the manager has fallen out with Richard Wood. I think they've had a bit of a spat. He's not been picked in the starting lineup since the Bristol City game, which I think were early January. Jesus. And he's not even been in the squad since.
It's not good, is it?
Especially
when you've got injured in that position as well.
Yeah, centre-back.
Yeah.
It is worrying, but having said that, I mean, we got away with one here. I will start talking about Monsoon Gate now, shall we? We definitely got away with one because we got away with one because we were going to lose that game without any question. We were going to lose it because we just weren't playing well enough. But there were no alternative. It was the rain that came down were biblical. I mean, it only rained for about 16, 17 minutes, but the amount of water it put down in those minutes. I mean, I sent you guys a Twitter video of the corner flags, and they were about 7 or 8 inch deep. It was,
Could just see flag.
yeah, the drainage isn't brilliant. I agree. But having said that, a club of our size can't afford state-of-the-art equipment to move the stuff. I mean, the fact that the referee waited 45 minutes to cancel the game, he gave it every opportunity. But our ground staff, yeah, there were only 3 of them and they didn't cover themselves in glory. That's probably what we could afford.
Yeah.
And as for the Cardiff fans screaming on Twitter and Facebook that we should have a points deduction and we should hand the game to Cardiff as a win, that's absolute BS. Because I've watched football for the last 60 odd years, and every time there's been an abandonment, and it's happened quite a bit over the intervening years, they've always replayed the game at 0-0 from the start. And that's what will happen here. And if it doesn't, the EFL has set a very dangerous precedent.
The less said
I'd like
about
to
the
see
EFL, the better.
Luke's reaction to that. What does he think?
The thing is between the New York Stadium and El Kenny, I mean, I've only known only a handful of abandonments at Kenilworth Road, and I think that was from the non-league era. I think the way that we manage our ground is miraculous, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, they have to replay the game. I mean, Cardiff will be looking back at this in 4 or 5 weeks' time, and the same that Rotherham will be. That replaying this will still be a huge lifeline in the scrap to avoid relegation.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, looking at the table now, obviously following the results, now having that lifeline could be the difference between whether you stay up or you avoid the drop. You know,
I mean, the advantage from our point of view is that we get as injured players back for the replayed game. Yeah. Which is an advantage to us. I agree. I completely agree. And I think I'd be peed off if I were a Cardiff fan. But I wouldn't be claiming points deductions or things like that. It's just an act of God that no one could have helped.
Ian, they are grasping because you look where they are. A point deduction to you puts you right in it and keeps them safe. And I think at the moment, Cardiff are slowly starting to pick up some decent results and starting to look better again. And they're pulling out of it. And I think their momentum was going well. But when we had it season before Chansiri took over at our place, we had so many games called off. It was just so bad. It doesn't help where our pitch is. Like, our pitch is on the Sodding Don. So if it rained badly, we're screwed. We can't do out about it. But we've invested. We are a club who's able to invest in better stuff like that. But even if you invest, some of the best pitches in the world, if they get that much water, there's only so much a grass pitch can hold before you.
It was incredible, and it came down in such a short space of time.
Yeah, if it were like
seen rain like it.
If it was anything like we had here, I mean, we're a stone's throw away from each other. It was coming down in bucket loads.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you had to do that at Sodding Accrington Stanley and standing in the away end?
Sorry, I could just stand
that at Accrington back in the League 2 days when we were in League 2, and we went to Accrington for a Tuesday night match, and it were bucketing it down like that, and the referee called it off 10 minutes before kick-off.
Oh, horrible!
That was absolutely awful, and we would absolutely drown that night.
And I think
it does happen. It's rare, but it does happen.
I think the best thing about the Rotherham game is when you see Rob Statton's photograph of him going, "Hi, I'm at the New York where it's blue, sunny skies," and you're like, "Oh, brilliant!" And then you see the picture afterwards, it's like, "Oh, that changed really quickly."
Yeah, it did. But
it does remind me of the time
we
I
all
went
know
down
that
to
the UK is the only country that you can have every season in the same day.
Yeah. It does remind me of the time that I went down to Charlton. Sam's brought it up as well, that Rotherham are using the Charlton tactics from all those years ago, getting the game called off to win the rearranged game. We went down by a point that season as well.
It's not tactics.
It is. Dirty Rotherham and the dirty tactics.
I do want to quickly mention Ogbene as a proud Irishman in this conversation. Called up for the Ireland squad. With our games against Latvia and France. Ian, you talked about his poor performance. How do you think he's going to fare against Kylian Mbappe?
Well, to be honest, he was the only one against Cardiff that showed any intent. Like I said, he had a shot that was just wide. I like him. I like Ogbenny. He's really quick. He's direct. He can cross a ball. He can finish. He's top end championship class for me. And the week. One of the highlights of the transfer window for me is that we kept him till the end of the season, because I've absolutely no doubt that he'll be on his way in the summer. But if we can keep him here so he can help to keep us up, that's a win-win. I rate him highly.
I mean, he has scored a couple of goals for us at the stage, but England think they struggle with European campaigns, but when it comes to the Irish, we just get horrific campaign after horrific campaign. So if we can have a conversation in 2 weeks' time and praising Ogbenny for being the hero against the French, then so be it. But the way that
who else do you play besides France?
Who
else do you play?
We've got the Dutch as well.
Easy then. Yeah.
I'll tell you our group, because no one has any clue. So we've got France, Greece, Gibraltar, and who else have we got? I think that's it.
I think you'll do all right against Gibraltar.
You say that, my friend. We're still the same team that loses to the Faroe Islands. Yes, France, Gibraltar, Greece, and the Netherlands are in our group.
Right.
To get to Germany next summer.
I don't know if this is still a sore point, Luke, but we'll get it up there. At least Henry's not playing anymore.
Ooh, that
is just the clip for the Twitter.
That's
I thought we were friends. I thought we were all friends here.
That were nasty. That were below the belt.
Welcome to the show, Luke.
Yeah.
But no, we are hurtling towards the half an hour mark. Is there any other games that any of you guys want to?
The only one I want to talk about is the midweek one. Which was 6-1 to Blackpool versus QPR. That was just mental.
This was one that wasn't expected, wasn't it?
I get to use the klaxon as well. Former Wenty player code. Woohoo! Jordan Thornley.
And the former Miller, Jerry Yates.
Jerry Yates, Miller. Get that going again.
But QPR look a right mess. They really look just all out of ideas. I've seen some of the pictures and videos that he's done, like to do the hacker and stuff to get bonding. As much as he's a very good manager, he's a mentalist at the same time. He always has been, even when he was a player. And if you go to Blackpool and they can beat you 6-1 and then Blackpool lose 4-1 versus Coventry, granted Coventry a very good team, there's something not going right there. I understand they needed to change it at QPR, but have they made a mistake with just not doing it till the end of the season?
Also, they lost at home to Blues, didn't they, yesterday?
Yeah, it's not looking good for QPR.
My brother-in-law is a QPR's fan.
There's one little thing I want to pick up on. I assume you've all seen the highlights of yesterday, the Blackpool game against Coventry. There were a punch from Gikaris that laid a Blackpool player out.
Yeah.
That should have been a red card.
Yeah.
But it's allowed now. If they allowed Billy Sharp from last week, it's allowed this week. Don't worry. DFL.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, but that was an obvious punch. That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been no retrospective action taken against Billy Sharp either, has there?
No,
not yet. No.
I will just come back to my point. Yeah, my brother-in-law is a QPR fan, and I'll describe it as a beautiful freefall. Because I remember going to Luton QPR in October, and it being a very competitive game. When QPR were top six, and they've got the potential there, and you see where they are now. It's just
they've got players like Ilias Chair injured, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big miss for any side.
Jonathan Harris is in the chat.
It was actually. Yeah.
Sam's back in the chat as well. Gareth Ainsworth once came to the Keep Note mid-December wearing a Hawaiian t-shirt. That sums him up.
Yeah,
it does indeed. It does indeed. Any weekend games that we want to touch on? Obviously, Middlesbrough smashing Preston 4-0. They're looking decent under
They're
Carrick.
looking like a machine, Borough, aren't they? So
yeah. I think that's
again.
Pom and Archer scoring regularly.
Yeah.
The fact that Luton have yet to play Middlesbrough in our remaining games, it's not over yet between Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, and Luton, because rewind the clock 12 months ago to the run that we went on towards the end of the season, beating Forest on Good Friday, and picking up the results when we needed to get. Yes, we got into the playoffs for the first time, but now we're in an even stronger position where if we can string it together against Watford and Millwall, I don't think I think our remaining fixtures. I'll call up for you because I'm well researched. QPR, not QPR. Watford, Millwall, Blackpool, then Rotherham at the Flippers, Reading away, then Borough at home before Blackburn and Hull on the final day.
You've got a lot of winnable games there.
It's doable.
That's a big old game, though, isn't it?
Luton versus Middlesbrough, Millwall versus Luton, big uns for me.
Yeah.
And what about Blackburn Luton? Because Ewood's a tough place to go as well.
It is. If you watch the FA Cup game earlier this afternoon between the Blackburn and Sheffield United, I mean, either of those teams could have won it. It was ridiculous.
Entertaining cup tie for sure.
That were a very, very good game.
So moving on to the table, looking at the bottom end, Huddersfield's win has pulled them within 3 points of getting out of the drop. That Rotherham Cardiff rearranged game, if it still stays like this, that's going to be huge, isn't it? Massive 6-pointer.
That was the result of the weekend, Huddersfield winning at Millwall. And
I thought you were going to say your game getting called off.
To be fair, if you look at where Reading are now, if they get that point deduction now, this season, pulls them in it.
They're right in it.
Because you've got the thing is, Huddersfield have got possible administration. So if they get into administration, they get a point deduction.
Yeah.
Wigan are in really financial issues as well, apparently not paying players on time again. Things are not going right there. You got Reading and Birmingham. Birmingham have got another points thing coming from the Championship because of the people who tried to buy them didn't have the say-so to put all that money in. You've got Reading, and it's weird. It's so weird at the minute. And you look at the top two in the Championship have both got transfer embargoes.
Yeah.
Madness, isn't it? Finances in football.
It just shows you the value of having a well-run football club.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we will do a summer finances football talk because we could go on forever. It's
that for the summer when we've got no football to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. But no, top of the table looking pretty good for Burnley. It's been looking good for them for some time. They got absolutely smashed in the FA Cup, and it just shows the level between Championship and Premier League, doesn't it? Especially top end Premier League. Haaland, different level. But no, Sheffield United, Blackburn earlier in the FA Cup was an entertaining fixture, but I think they need to put more of what we saw today in the FA Cup into the league games. I think they've been a bit too cautious recently after kind of Burnley pulling away. I think they've kind of tried to keep their grip on second, and what that's done is they've set up slightly negatively. They've set up to not lose games, and I think they've shot themselves in the foot and opened the door for both Middlesbrough or Luton to break in.
We beat Sheffield United at Bramwell Lane 1-0, and much it made a certain Wednesday fan that me and
he's in the chat now. To be fair,
I mean, do we have to acknowledge him? Do we have to he's there?
There we go. We'll acknowledge him. Worko. He's been on the stream before. Absolutely beaming that you've got him on for this week, Dapper. So there you go. Sending you some love, Luke.
Yeah, but he supports Luton now. I have evidence to prove that. So it's.
Question for you before we move on to League One. Obviously, you've played a game more than what Sheffield United has. 6 points away from them.
And Sheffield United got a date in Wembley as well. That's the scary thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it may turn the heads in terms of focusing on that rather than league.
See what happens, because it doesn't sound like it's financially stable there, because there was talk this week in some papers that they could have administration.
Yeah, which could throw a spanner in the works at the top of the table, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But
so
no, I think,
isn't it 12 points for administration?
Yes. Yeah. But for me, I think the top six is set roughly in that order. I think the playoffs will change. From what I saw, I don't think Norwich have got enough to break into that top 6. Personally, I just think they were too wasteful in front of goal. But for me, that's pretty much set. What about
any 2 out of Blackburn, Millwall, Norwich, Coventry, and West Brom will make up the final 2 playoff positions?
There we go. What about you, Ian?
I think Coventry are probably more on form than Norwich are. And I think they could just sort of sneak in. It depends on Millwall's away form. Because Millwall at home are formidable, but their away form is not the best.
Yeah. And Jake?
But Millwall definitely deserve it. They're a good side.
I think Coventry could sneak it, to be fair, because you look at what happened at the start of the season, having those games happen because the pitch being thing. They pulled all those points back and they put themselves in such a good position. And Coventry can win away. Millwall and Norwich don't seem to be able to play anywhere decent football away from their home ground. So Coventry can do both.
Wouldn't it be funny if Coventry had another row with the owners at the stadium and they had to play Premier League games at Northampton?
Oh, that was funny.
My wife's from Northampton, and seeing 6 feels as low as it is. That's. I mean, they've got Danny Hilton, they've got Super Dan, but nobody wants to go to the 6 feels. Nobody.
No.
Not even if you
agree with that. So that rounds off the Championship. We will move on to League One now. And we're going to start with Sheffield Wednesday Bolton. Jake, you did a watch along on this, and you were quite complimentary to both teams. Your bias was not shown, which was good. But talk us through it. How did it pan out, and what were your thoughts on the game?
Bolton came at us and they gave us the game. They started really well early doors and pressured us a little bit. And I think that I don't think it shocked us, but I think they had a game plan. They knew what they wanted to do and they had high tempo. And I think sometimes if teams do that at Hill, but it shocks us out of our system a little bit. We do make it 1-0. It's an absolute fantastic cross by Reece James. Then it's a really good backward header, a cross goal by Aidan Flint to get it to Lee Gregory to make it 1-0. And you're thinking, brilliant, great play. But we had a chance to go 2-0 up. It was a really bad hit by Windass, but just went wide. Barry Bannon had a shot. But the one thing you've got to say about Bolton is Santos at the back is a beast. And you've got to talk about Trafford. Trafford is such a good keeper for his age. He's going to be one of the best keepers for his age, the rate he goes. Because anything that goes in that box, he just grabs it out of the air. But their goal was just bad. It was just bad defending by Wednesday, which was a little bit unusual for us because we're very solid this season defensively. Akinfenwa didn't really put a proper leg out. He kind of kicked at it. If he gets a full contact on it, it does it. And we left the man open. 1-1. Yeah. But second half, they really came at us because we lost Josh Windass to an injury. He left the ground with a base boot on because he kind of ran for the ball and got his foot stuck in the turf and then went down and it was ankle. But I've seen pictures of him today. He hasn't got a base boot on. He's got like a normal trainer on. So I wonder if they've done that precaution thing to make sure and they put ice on it and it's actually not as bad as it was. Lee Gregory went off with a knock as well did Reece James. But the problem is with Gregory going off, it only leaves you if Windass not fit for Tuesday night versus Barnsley. It only leaves you with Smudges as our only proper fit striker in theory because Wilkes is only just getting back. Patterson's still out. You've got the hit situation with Reece James, how he is, how that is. So the saving grace for us is that Bolton came and gave us the game. We defended well. But fair credit to Bolton. They were very good. They played some really good football. They turned it around a bit. And they didn't have a lot of shot, but when they got forward, they looked like they were going to cause us problems. There was a penalty incident that Bolton thought they should have had. Different referees, different days gives it. I think one day, I can understand what Ian Everett saying. He's spoken to Aidan Flint and Aidan Flint turned around and said that he thought it was a penalty. Doing the usual thing that all managers seem to do. Darren Moore said he doesn't actually clip him, but it is what it is. I take the point because at the end of the day, yes, all 3 points would have been more favourable, but we've now just got to get the games in hands out the way because get them out the way and it'll be interesting. But Barnsley is going to be a proper test on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it'll be a war, that one.
Yeah.
I think Darren Moore might have to change his tactics with his lack of striking options. He might have to go sort of like
Smith and Palmer.
Well, the thing is, I think what he might do, there's a Deli Bashir who's in our squad, used to play striker when he was at Man City for a bit. And he's strong and he's powerful. If you just have him as that holding player, that might work as well. But the lucky thing is, we played on Friday. We don't play till Tuesday. We've had about 4 days to get player back and seeing what there is. These little injuries could be just contact injuries and it's just the muscle tightness and you're back in. I will say this now. We missed Joe Byers massively in that midfield, though, because it looks like he's not going to be back for the Barnsley game. It's a muscle injury, so it is a shame. But at the same time, you look at where we are. I'm still a lot of Wednesday fans lost their mind because of this. They really did. They went a bit mental. It's like we're still picking up 2 points or a point per game. We're still on it. And you look at our running at the end of the season, it's more favourable to most others.
I hate saying nice things about Sheffield Wednesday, of course.
I know you do.
In chat. But 2 games in hand, win those, and you've pretty much guaranteed promotion. And then all you got to do is wrap up the title, and you'll be coming up. Which
Walshy, I want you to go up. I don't want you and Worko to have a friendship beef over a football club.
We are going to the Premier League. We are going to the promised land. Worko would never ever see the light of day of that.
Right.
It's fine, but Luton have been in this position before. Well, I say we've been in this position before. We absolutely romped League One the last time we were there. But yeah, when those games are hand, and certainly Wednesday have it wrapped up, especially when you look how the top 3 at the moment between Ipswich, Plymouth, and Sheffield Wednesday, there's only 3 points between the first 3.
Exactly. It's insane. Like our games in hands are Barnsley and Cheltenham.
Yeah.
We get a point versus Barnsley and we beat Cheltenham. We're there, I reckon.
You'll have to stop Alfie May. He's on fire at the moment.
But yeah, Barnsley also have 2 games in hand as well.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think we'll move on to Barnsley now. I mean, their form is unreal. There's a Barnsley fan at work. He's completely and utterly surprised at how well they're doing from
They're doing fantastic.
What he saw last season. Wickham, tough place to go, and they managed to nick a result on the 85th minute, a late goal. Puts them in a really good position with 2 games in hand, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. You look at their form and they've just been superb this year. They really have. They got the management right with Duff. I think some of them, Barnsley fans, but Barnsley as a club are very good at getting managers right. It's very rare to get it wrong.
I'd agree with that.
They always seem to get managers who are about to be up and coming, who are ready to have that step up, but it's not a little bit too much of a step up. And I think this is the right club for the right manager. And he got some great players playing some good football. And it's that weird thing when you look at what Barnsley are doing at the minute and they look at how they play. It's going to be a really interesting end to the season.
I like the midfield, mate. I like Connell and Benson. Really good players for that level.
Yeah. Herbie Kane as well. Ex-Rovers player.
Herbie Kane's a good player.
I will say for Wickham, though, they're definitely missing Gareth Ainsworth. I don't think his shoes have been filled. And considering they are slowly losing form, when you think if Ainsworth had remained in post, they could have snuck into the playoffs and be firm contenders.
But Walsh, after 11 years, how do you replace someone who's done that for them for so long? And all those players know how to play under Ainsworth. They don't change many players each season either. They always seem to have the same group.
Case in point, Rob Edwards.
Yeah.
Rob Edwards has come in. Nathan Jones built a team over 6 years, Stoke in between. But he built that time. He built players like Bradley. He brought Adebayo in. He brought, Harry Cornick, and brought the stalwarts within the side that set us up to be in this position where, now we're in the Rob Edwards era. He's been able to take that firm structure in place with James Bree and Bree come and gone, but Bradley, we've got Ivan Horvath, we've got all these new players coming through to an already experienced side, along with the likes of Pelly, Ruddock, and Panzu, and he's been able to carry on the good work. And I think
I wonder if there's just a change in different tactics that they're not used to, trying something a bit different. So it's an interesting one. We always said Wycombe would have been interesting to see what they would like when Ainsworth did go, and now we're seeing it.
It's not too dissimilar. It's not too dissimilar to us having to change Paul Warne.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Taylor's come in with fresh ideas. The players weren't buying into it, and I think to a large extent they still aren't. So I think when he gets his own squad in, probably in this summer, hopefully we'll still be a Championship side. But even if we're a League One side, it's going to be a complete change of style.
I've just seen a comment come in from who I'm guessing is Lee's mum. Accent correspondent is drinking his way through a cocktail menu. Hey, I can't fault
I
him.
always thought he was a pisshead.
Got
a bit to watch Wednesday, aren't you? Bloody hell.
Well, I suppose so.
Should we move on to Ipswich? Of course, you talk about informed teams. I mean, 5 out of 5 for them. And,
crap. I just remembered.
Again, 2-0 win against Shrewsbury, again, a comfortable victory. But we're continuing the conversation about having the right form at the right time. It's going to be this run of games that they are going through at the moment. And yes, there may be 2 games more than obviously Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, but if they carry on the way they are, there is going to be incredibly tight come the final day of the season.
I got the klaxon ready, Sam. I know. And George Hurt. Shut up.
You know what? I love that the chat now is watching out for klaxons as well. It's great.
Bloody not when it's Wednesday players when they're doing it when they're near the sodding. Yeah.
Ian, before we go to the League One table, is there any results that you want to talk about?
Who was that addressed to, Dan?
Ian, you.
All right. Yeah. Very impressive from Posh at Lincoln, ending their unbeaten home record. Which is unbelievable. And 3 cracking goals. Especially, Joe Ward's strike were very good, but I wanted to talk about Johnson Clark Harris's goal. But another klaxon plays.
That's for either Rotherham or Donny.
Obviously. But it was great. It was crossed through the left, and the cleverest dummy that just left Clark Harris free. Left foot volley straight in the back of the net. And it was a bit of a derby of sorts, this, weren't it, really? Lincoln and Peterborough. And I don't think they'll do enough to get in the playoffs, Posh, but they're very, very good going forward.
I mean, it's between Wycombe and Peterborough, who are both level on points at the moment. So I think, again, now that we're seeing League One football during the international break, of course, I think it'll be ones to watch for both of them in the last 9 games. I think Peterborough favourably because they have obviously the experience compared to the new manager in Wycombe, but don't count them out. It's only 4 points and 2 games can change that.
Yeah, very true. And Ferguson's done it before there.
Of course he has. They don't seem
He's
to
done
have
it before there. And also,
managers.
I mean, they're on form. I mean, they had that anomaly where they got thrashed 5-0 at home to Bolton, but I think that was just a flash in the pan. But apart from that, they're on form.
Yeah. Apart from that one that lost me 570 quid, Cheltenham. Yeah, but other than that, Peterborough have been fantastic, haven't they?
Yeah, true.
I mean, do you want to get the what sound now that we're just a podcast soundboard,
We've been a podcast soundboard for a long time, mate.
Worko, I think this is a shot at you, Jake. He's on superb.
It is a shot at me, and it's not a klaxon. You take a drink. Get it right, mate.
Salad Dodger as well. That's a fantastic name. Miller's fan here. Do you have a podcast to listen to? Unfortunately not. This is what we do every Sunday. I need to look into putting this on podcast form as well. I think it might be something that interests people. But no, every Sunday, 6:30, we come on here and just have a chat and have a look at results and stuff. And you get to see our beautiful faces, whereas on a podcast you don't. You just hear our voices.
And Worko.
I think you'd probably be better putting it on podcast, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we've got faces for radio, haven't we? Any more games before we check the table out?
Just a couple. Cheltenham are making a fight of it.
We are hurtling towards the hour and we've not gone to League Two yet, Ian. Make it quick.
Oh dear, house had never mind. Alfie May still scoring. Good win against reasonably good at Exeter side. I'm not saying Cheltenham could pull away, but at least they've given themselves a chance.
Mm.
Yeah.
But one team that is pulling away is Burton Albion.
Yeah,
Fantastic
great win
win at
versus Port
Port
Vale.
Vale.
Mm.
Yeah, good 3-2
Like
win.
I say, I saw them a few weeks ago beat Exeter, and they weren't that impressive. They won a scrappy game, but since then they've been bang on form.
Yeah.
And also they lost Sam Winnell to injury, but yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to give up and just be the soundboard.
Yeah, exactly. But a couple of good goals there as well, and it's a good win at Vale Park. That I think Burton will be okay now.
Yeah.
As long as McDonald's go down, please, that'll be great. Thank you.
Looking at the table, MK Dons result, that was a good result for them. 1-0.
Very good result.
Don't call them by their real name. They are the McDonald's, and they have a stadium they can't fill. That is the McDonald's.
If ever that chant "your ground's too big for you" applied, it's still MK Dons.
Yeah.
It's why they have to get all the bands to play it so they can actually fill it with people. Otherwise, they've never been able. Like the thing is, when Power Court comes and they finally see a Premier League team fill it out and send it on a European adventure, it'll just send Pete Winkleman mad. That's the dream fantasy right now.
It is. But a great result for them nonetheless at the weekend, which leapfrogged them above Accrington Stanley.
Were they?
They're now in the bottom four, and we've said it numerous times on the stream. League One without Accrington Stanley just doesn't sound right. So hopefully they'll pick up form, and Oxford, I think they're in trouble this season.
Yeah, they are in trouble.
Don't count them out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Could you imagine if NK Dons survive and Oxford go down with Liam Manning at the helm?
Wow, yeah.
No.
Poetic.
Especially since he replaced Carl Robinson at MK Don, and now he's done it again at Oxford.
Mm.
Yeah. Moving towards the top of the table.
Sorry, call that workers comment right now, please, and thank you. It's
that one.
it just.
I'm so sorry, Jonathan.
I'm sure. I think it was asked earlier if Worko had upset any fan base this week, and he said no, there's still time. I think.
I mean, I was first, but you know.
On to the top of the table, Sheffield Wednesday sitting pretty at top on 78 points, 2 games in hand. Nervous yet, Jake? Or
I'm taking it game at a time because it's too tight to call. I said it last week, and the only way can do. You look at it, so they've got the goal difference up to 41. It's now higher than us. You look at Plymouth, who are just slowly. If Plymouth had all their games at home park, they go up champions.
Yeah.
But they've got to go away. The big one here with Derby losing to Fleetwood.
That was incredible.
And that was a
Did you see
great
Cubs
result.
vlogs?
Yeah.
Oh, it was incredible. It was brilliant, that.
And I think, yeah, very much so. I think it's going to be that good thing where if we get 2 games in hand, it probably, I'm not going to say it's a foregone conclusion because it's still tight, but it probably safe that we're promoted. Maybe not champion, but promoted. But it just makes it a really good end to the season with it so tight anyway. It's nice because it's not if you're a Wednesday fan or Plymouth fan or Ipswich fan, but it's nice to see that it's still there. Because Barnsley still could sneak it as well. Because we've seen Ipswich go on little blips.
We have.
Yeah.
We really have. I mean, I'm going to say this publicly. If Sheffield Wednesday fail to get promoted automatically and fail to get up by the playoffs, then I'm going to give Worko a Luton Town shirt. Obviously, now that he supports them, so that he can publicly and proudly wear it for everyone to see.
And you just give him one anyway.
Yeah, obviously he's going to wear one regardless because he's a Luton Town fan now. But he'll be publicly out there for all to see. The Kenilworth orange will look great on him. I can't wait to
Well,
see it.
just put Worko 1 on the back. He'll love it even more.
Exactly. I mean, it's better than a Sheffield United shirt, right?
Yeah.
It could be that cruel.
Yeah,
Or
I
could
think we can all agree on that.
Or could I?
So that rounds off League One. Moving on to League Two. I will sort out the banner before I forget, because I do that generally when we get to League Two. We will start with the dreadful, I think Sam just came in, speaking of plastic fans who make no noise, off to Salford. Yeah, let's start there. Yeah. I indeed want to move on very swiftly from this. This one, for me, ends our season. I think there was a glimmer of hope of making the playoffs. We were 6 points behind, a game in hand, and I think if we'd have won this one, we'd have been 3 points behind Salford with a game in hand. And I think then you can start believing a little bit. But we have just been so inconsistent this season. A really poor result and performance against Harrogate a couple of weeks ago, getting beat 2-0 at home, and then we turned up, performed much better against Wimbledon, got the result last Saturday, and then it's just back to shit again. I don't know what else I can say. We're just so poor.
What were your goalie doing?
See, I don't really want to slag the keeper off. He's not played in 2 years. He's an emergency loan. He only came in on Friday. What I would say is Mitchell looked in some severe pain last Saturday. It looked like he popped his shoulder out. For me, we as a club should have brought an emergency loan in much quicker than Friday, rather than waiting for the results of the scan. For me, we should have just taken the hit, gotten the emergency loan in, and then had him there training for a week, not coming in on Friday and having the game on the Saturday. I think it showed that the defence didn't really have confidence in him. He didn't know what the defence were doing. All 3 goals really were avoidable.
Is your sub-goalkeeper injured?
Sub-goalkeeper injured, third goalkeeper's injured.
We've
got a 16-year-old kid on the bench. And then obviously Mitchell, who was the first choice, popped his shoulder out, I think, last week. So yeah, in terms of goalkeeping, we're not in a good position. But according to reports, some of the stuff he did really well. There was just the second goal, where he's just completely misjudged it and it's gone through his hands.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, but like Sam says, Luke Bolton.
Can I have a klaxon, please, for Luke Bolton? Thank you.
There we go.
There you go, ex-Hatter. That's my. I'm fully initiated in this podcast now. I have a klaxon.
Yeah, now you've received the klaxon. That's it.
Yeah, fantastic player when we had him for the short time that we did. And you know, the thing with Salford City, obviously, whenever you have a general conversation about Salford, you immediately go to the class of '92 and Gary Neville, blah blah blah. But on the pitch, they are so solid and so well put together. And when you put little players like Butler in and who's obviously got 2 goals against Doncaster, they have the potential of going up. And
well, hang on, he got 2 goals, not 2 collections.
There you go. But yeah, all it takes is having the right people around that club will change the form on the pitch. And I think
I will say something. Salford City are a very interesting club. This season, they haven't gone crazy with changing managers, and they seem to see a little bit of a better team because they seem a bit more consistent, and they seem to know that the manager's still going to be there.
Yeah, there were the lower league
Salford City learnt lessons.
Yeah, hopefully so, because I don't like seeing managers getting chopped and changed all the time.
No.
But yeah, bad day at the office for us. Let's move on. Any games that you guys want to talk about on League Two? We will focus a little bit more on League Two next week. But yeah, we'll talk about League Two a lot more next week. I'm conscious that we're almost at the hour mark. I don't want to run on too long because I'm hungry.
we know what Andy Cook can do in this league. He's prolific, but Hartlepool must feel gutted to be winning that 2-1 and then get that sucker punch.
A good finish though for the equaliser, weren't
it? It really was, and you got to give Hartlepool credit because they're starting to get into that position where if they start playing like they played against Bradford, they're going to probably be safe. But can they now keep it going? That's the issue.
Yeah. True enough.
Andy Cook has scored 49% of Bradford's goals this season.
That's incredible.
Jeez.
Different level. Where would they be without him?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a poor result for Bradford, a fantastic result for Hartlepool.
Yeah.
Didn't really help them though, because Crawley starting to hit a little bit of form, which worries me because we've got them on Tuesday night.
It's all right, Dan. All you need to do is put Bitcoin and how much it's worth on the big green, and they'll be worried.
Oh yeah. In fairness, though, Wimbledon didn't look too clever last weekend when they came to us, and I think their goal, I don't know if you remember it, the soft shot that goes through Mitchell's hands. Other than that, they didn't really offer any sort of threat. So tough one to judge on this one, but
Yeah.
Crawley, 2 wins on the bounce.
Give themselves a chance, haven't they?
Yeah, 2 wins on the bounce. It's dragged them out of the bottom 2. Hartlepool are in there at the minute.
I feel sorry for Rochdale, mate, because I mean, well, first of all, I feel sorry for Charlie Austin scoring 4 goals and still not winning.
Yeah.
What a game this were.
Yeah.
But a point's not good enough for Rochdale at this stage of the season.
No.
Especially a home point. I think we'll be saying goodbye to them. It's a shame because I love that chippy at the back of the away end.
Oh, it's a beauty.
It's a great
Wonderful chippy.
Also,
but yeah, it's looking bleak for Rochdale, isn't it? With like I say, they're needing to win games more than earning points. But it's a good point against Swindon. Swindon are a decent team, but
Ian, I bet you actually went and watched this instead of went to the Rotherham game.
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, or any other game actually. Yeah, I'll tell you another one that'll have buggered a lot of fixed odd coupons up. That's Collieu getting a 2-2 draw at Leighton Orient. I mean, look at the goal times of Collieu's goals.
I mean, yeah, George Boncoeur. Thank you.
Claxon's worn out tonight.
I used to hate Moncur when he used to play against us because he used to always sodding go.
Yeah.
That's playing for League Two.
It's a poor result though for Leighton Orient, isn't it? Being 2-0 up and throwing it away to a team who were 5th bottom, I think.
Moncur is a magician on the wing. What can I say?
They've picked themselves up, Collieu, to be honest with you, over the last few weeks. They've done pretty well.
Yeah.
And that was a good strike from the Noel Chilvers, that equaliser.
Yeah.
Was indeed. Walshy, any League Two fixture that you want to touch upon before we check the table out and round off?
I guess we have to talk about. I know I've rinsed them clean and proper, but Northampton getting that 1-0 win against Crewe Alexander. I think obviously 3 go up automatically in League Two. But yeah, that will be an important win again. 9 games to go for them. With obviously Stevenson Orient having played a game fewer than them. But it's anyone between Northampton, Carlisle, Stockport, Bradford could still quite easily squeeze that 3rd spot.
Stockport is stuttering a little bit at the moment. They're drawing too many games.
They're in with a shout though, aren't they?
They are in with a good shout. Sure.
Western has come in with a question. Thoughts about Tranmere sacking Mellon?
I didn't know about that.
It came in the last couple of hours, yes.
Yeah. Poor result for them at home to Newport County, being 3-0 down, getting a late consolation. And I think the aspirations at Tranmere when they came down to the Eco Power early in the season, I was chatting to one of their fans who was a content creator, and they had aspirations of kind of pushing on from last season and getting playoffs, and it's looking less and less likely that they're going to make it. And I think it's what we're seeing in football at the minute. If the objectives aren't currently getting achieved, there's a lot of teams that are pretty quick to throw the axe, isn't there?
The problem is how much of that has been that the club have come out a la Donny say we're aiming promotion. I don't think you put it out there, and I think sometimes you just let the football do it talk instead of saying this is what we're aiming for.
Amen. Yeah. Case in point, Luton Town, but not like as a realistic Luton fan, we shouldn't even be kissing playoff and promotion form, let alone even like realizing it and achieving it. And I think again, I've touched upon last season a lot, but you know, to have the experience of being in a playoff semi-final was healthy for us. But we're not going to Wembley in May. That can't. We're Luton Town. Like it's beyond my wildest dreams at the moment, because we haven't got the ground, we haven't got Power Court ready. We may have the team, but we need to be a consistent top 10 team in the championship for whilst that's being built. But we let it naturally happen. We let the form build as it does, and
sometimes you go up when you're least expecting and you're ready, and then you just got to see how you cope with it. And I think that's been a couple of teams over the last couple of seasons out the championship.
Look at us, too good for League One, not good enough for the championship.
Well, we talked about you, Ian. If they did leave parachute payments, you'd be loaded, but they don't do it. So you do.
Yeah, true enough.
You could have bought a proper drainage system.
Luton's a good blueprint for how to run a football club.
Oh, yeah. Have been for many years.
By the way, Luke, is there any likelihood of a new stadium soon?
Honestly, no. There is a lot of legalities. There's a what you've seen at Kenilworth Road is we got the ground approved just before the pandemic, which was fantastic. Then obviously the pandemic happened, but now that we're on the other side and time is starting to tick on, and there's little things here and there that need to be worked on and slight tweaks that need to be made. And it's coming. We haven't broken ground yet, but it's coming. Yeah. I don't think any of us are ready to say goodbye to Kenilworth Road or Oak Road for that matter.
Like us with Millmore. Yeah.
But it's coming. And I think even the news this week that Mike Ashley's Fraser's group has just bought the Mall. It will always be known as the Arndale of Luton. That's a guarantee. But there was a major legal fight between the owners of the Mall and Power Court and things being changed and retail and so on. Eventually Luton won. But there's little tweaks here and there that are being made. But it's coming. It's coming.
Good.
It'd be sad to lose a proper stadium though. I've got a soft spot for a proper old school stadium. I like visiting Hillsborough. I think that's an old school stadium.
But what a content creator is going to do when they can't walk through somebody's back garden? That's
exactly.
We saw
build a new stadium around somebody's back garden.
I'm going to say now.
Came down during the week.
I want Luton to go up because if FIFA keep doing what they're doing, it means Kenneth Road will be in FIFA, and you'll see that thing of like the NPC walking through back gardens. And I just want to see Americans lose their mind when they're playing it online, going, "Why are they going through someone's garden?"
Oh my gosh, I'm playing as Luton Town in the Premier League.
Exactly.
And it'll be workers' worst nightmare. Dream come true,
Win-win for everybody.
That'll be his fairy tale now. He's a Luton fan. I should stop in referencing it. I feel like that's move on. League 2 table, please. Time's running on.
So looking at League 2, looking at the table, Rochdale, I think we're all in agreement that they're doomed, and we're saying goodbye to them this season. But what I would say is they're showing fight with that 4-4 draw this weekend, and I think if I was in that position as a fan, the minimum expectation is that players show fight and determination to at least try and get out of the situation that they're in. And if they're showing that and they still go down, at least can say that they've give it the best shot and not just down tools and accepted their fate. Hartlepool, Crawley, Colchester, Harrogate. I think Gillingham probably safe. The hit and miss at the minute, but I think the takeover has just given them that boost.
Crawley or Hartlepool who are going to take that last spot.
I would say so.
Yeah, one of those two.
And my money's on Crawley going down, even now.
Yeah, we'll gift them 3 points on Tuesday, I'm sure.
Is it at your place, Dan?
No, it's down at theirs. Broadfield, is it?
Broadfield, yeah, something like that,
yeah. Moving on to the top of the table, so Leyton Orient are pretty much champions, aren't they? Decent gap, but they are chucking points away at the minute. 3 draws on the bounce, so potentially catchable. Stevenage and Northampton make up the top 3, but Carlisle, Stockport, Bradford are hot on their heels, and I think change will happen at the top of League 2 for sure. Salford, a good win for them, keeps them well in the playoffs, 3 points in the playoffs, but Mansfield do have 2 games in hand over them. Us all the way down, smack bang mid-table, 50 points, we're safe.
I think that's where you are this season. I can't see a run going
So
now.
frustrating though, because at the start of the season we were going to bounce back decisively, and I've had it. We've spoke about this so many times on this stream. It's frustrating to be told one thing and then things that have been delivered have clearly not been what they've told us. So I think there's questions to be asked of the hierarchy at Doncaster Rovers over the summer. And for me, they've got one decision to make. They either invest and show us ambition, or sell up, because we can't continue the way that we are, and it's frustrating to see. If we do continue the way that we are, I do worry for next season, because there'll be less fans in the ground. The budget will be cut, which means worse players will come in, or we'll have a shoestring budget, which gives us a very threadbare squad, a couple of injuries, and we could struggle. So, yeah, not looking forward to this summer, but we will see what happens. But yeah, top 7, still questions to be answered on that one for sure. Lovely stuff. Let's get the banner gone. 1 hour, 10 minutes. I told you it'd be about 45 minutes. Walsh,
Yeah, of course you did, yeah.
I bring the quality. Hey, just Dapper, get the contract sent over. I'll get it signed. I'll be here every week, and you'll make.
Trust me, I don't pay by the hour though.
We'd be minted if he did.
Yeah.
But no, thank you once again to everybody who's spent a decent proportion of their Sunday evening listening to us chat EFL. A big thank you to Luke for stepping in for Lee and giving us an oversight on Luton. I think it's good to have a chat with other fans. We've had Wednesday, Rotherham, Donny on for the majority, so it's nice to get an input from a team that we've talked about, but we don't really know that much about. So thank you for your expertise on Luton. I will put all the links of your socials in the description, so please go ahead and have a look at that and follow Walshy on those. Follow Punk Chef and Over the Bar or Ian Bradley on Twitter as well. Thank you, guys. I'll go around the table for any last words. We'll start with Punk Chef. Any last words before we finish, mate?
It's nice to have a different point of view in terms of having another fan from the Championship on. I think it's good to get more on. If anyone is another fan of another club, please get in touch. We'll have you on. It'll be good to talk. And it's nice to just talk football and just enjoy a chat where everyone's opinions matter and there's no wrong opinions in a sense. Everyone gets a say, and it's very rare you get that these days.
I agree.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And it's nice to have a fresh perspective sometimes.
Yeah.
Any final words from you, Ian?
We've got
enjoyed it as per usual. It's nice to get quite a bit off your chest on a Sunday evening. So it's all building up for the week after.
Once again, a huge happy 61st birthday to you, Ian.
61.
Thank you for giving some of your birthday evening up. I'm sure your lovely lady will be setting up the cake and the balloons and stuff.
We're setting so much up, I don't know what. Probably a guillotine.
Hopefully we see you next week, Ian. If not, we'll know where to look. And Walshy, we will have the final word for you as our guest on this evening. Any final words before we finish off, mate?
We've got Super Robbie Edwards. The town are going up.
Lovely stuff. And on that note, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.